Welcome to another reading of Lord Mayhare. We are on page 2824, continuing the chapter on the new life. The year is 1949. Eva, are you ready to read?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Go ahead. From the editor of a local newspaper.
The editor of a local newspaper came for Baba's darshan again that day, and even on Adi's explanation and persuasion, he remained obstinate in his insistence on seeing Meher Baba in person. Baba was sweeping the hut at the time. Keeping the broom on the floor, Baba came forward and touched the man's feet. When Baba came to the companions on 9 November in the morning, Dr. Ghani was in the toilet. Baba sent for him, and he came as he was, unwashed and with his pants down. Now that's obedience. Baba and the others applauded him loudly, clapping their hands at his instantaneous obedience. Baba appeared very pleased. Ghani was then sent back. Baba remarked, "Last night I had no interruption whatsoever. I rested well because Anna was successful in driving away the owls and bats." Baba had sent Vishnu to Pune on some work. Upon his return the previous night, the companions pressed him for news of Pune. He replied, "It is Baba's order not to read newspapers, not to talk politics, and not to see friends or acquaintances. So how could I get any news? But I did hear the newsboys crying in the streets that Gats and Apti, Mahatma Gandhi's assassins, will be hanged on the 15th of this month."
Wow.
Learning of this, the companions told Baba, "We are supposed to reach Benares on November 15, and it is possible the government might apply Section 144 of the Indian Penal Code, banning public gatherings and barring outsiders from entering the city." And footnote. Section 144 of the Indian Penal Code was enforced to prevent riots and arson. Because of this, would you consider your order and allow us to read the newspapers to keep us informed during these troubled times? After a long discussion, Baba made this decision. None from the companions should read any newspaper or discuss politics among themselves, as they have been doing up to now. I too am on your level in this, as in other matters, for the purposes of the new life taken. I therefore do not like the idea proposed by one of you that the newspaper be first read to me, and then the companions know from me what is relevant and essential. I have a solution for this. If Don takes it up 100% seriously, he will be doing a great service. I want him to keep 75 rupees with him, which will suffice for about 2 years of purchasing a daily newspaper whenever available. He may obtain it free if that is possible. Don alone should go through the newspaper and cut out news items from it required for our purpose in keeping with our new life. Don, cut out such items and show them to me, and after approval, I shall give these to the companions to read. When I said Don should try to do his work 100%, I mean that you, meaning Don, should not breathe a single word of what you read about political and world news to any of the other companions. You should cut out only news items relating to promulgation of new laws, riots, curfews, Section 144, strikes, epidemics, and so forth. Then forget what you have read and destroy the newspaper. This is Don's lifetime duty. The next day, because Nilo made an unconscious mistake in carrying out Baba's order, Baba criticized him and then said, "What is there to worry about if you are not at fault? And I reprimand you. If you are wrong, then correct yourself. Right or wrong, never argue with me or try to defend yourself." In the afternoon, Vishwanath Haldonikar showed up unexpectedly from Kualapur. He was supposed to have waited for Vishnu at his sister's house to discuss his land in Belgaum, but he appeared in the companion's hut unannounced and offered salutations to Baba with folded hands. Baba was furious since he and the companions were not supposed to see any old life disciples. Baba sent Haldonkar back after touching his feet. Gohir's younger brother, Jal Rusi, was also in Belgaum at the time, working at a job, but because of the restrictions, he never came to see either Baba or his own sister. Don passed him on the road several times, but both kept their faces turned, as the companions had instructions not ever to see or talk with any old life friends or acquaintances. On Friday, 11 November 1949, the packing was completed, and on the evening of the 12th, Baba and the men and women companions left Belgaum for Pune by train. The women occupied a first-class coach, while Baba and the men traveled third class. Pendu and Baidul preceded them with the luggage. On 13 November, they reached Pune at around 6:15 in the morning. From there, Baba sent Pendu and Baidul to Bombay to make train reservations for Benares. Baba, with the companions, remained at the Pune station platform. Gadikar and Habibullah-e-Hakim were seen there, and footnote, Habibullah Hakim was the secretary of the Pune Sufi Circle, for which Dr. Ghani was president. However, when the companions ignored them, they walked away. Nilu needed to use the toilet and availed himself of one nearby on a local train that was stationary. But when the train began moving out of the station, he panicked and, without even buttoning his trousers, leapt off and landed on his bottom. The men had a hearty laugh when Nilu described the scene. When Baba was told about it, he also enjoyed the humor of the incident. Baba took an hour's stroll around Pune with Nilu and Ghani by his side. Leaving Pune at 12:50 p.m., they arrived in Bombay at 6:30 that evening. Pendu and Baidul had made first-class reservations for the women. Baba occupied the servants' compartment with 7 of the men, while the others traveled in another coach. In the early hours of 15 November, They reached Mughal Sarai station at 2:30 a.m. via the Calcutta mail train and were met by Sadashiv Patil. At Mughal Sarai station, they had to change trains for Benares. But when it came time to transfer everything to the other train, the companions had to run back and forth to unload the baggage, leaving Baba standing alone with part of the luggage. Baba was irritated and took them to task for leaving him unattended. He then criticized himself. I got angry, which is not good. So each of you pinch my ears and slap me once. The men carried out the behest. Afterwards, when Baba had calmed down, they had tea with him. The weather was extremely cold and all were shivering. They left Mughal Sarai at 3:30 a.m. and arrived at Benares station an hour later. Baba Das was waiting on the platform, and when Baba got down, Baba Das informed him that Dr. Nath had been waiting at the station with his wife since 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Eva.
You're welcome.
Betty, could you read next, please?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Okay. As soon as Baba heard this, is that where we are? As soon
Yes.
as Baba heard this, he became annoyed with Baba Das, criticizing him. Why didn't you make it clear to them that no one was to be present at the station to receive me? Receive us. That in the new life, darshan, blessings, nazar, and the like are all stopped. I did explain everything to them, Baba Das countered. I do not know how they happened to come here. Baba remarked, the annoyance on my initial entry into Benares does not augur well for the future. He sent Erich and Baba Das to Dr. Nath, asking him to leave immediately and not try to see Baba. He and his wife were standing in the bitter cold on the railway overbridge, while Baba and the companions were still on the platform. Dr. Nath explained that he had come with his driver to drive the 4 women to the house. Baba then agreed to this if Nath would accept 1 rupee in payment, but they were still not permitted darshan. Receiving Baba's instructions, the Naths left disappointed. Although they had made the best arrangements for Baba, this was their prasad. They were in truth very fortunate, and being steadfast in their faith, were able to bear this blow of love. Neither Dr. Nath nor Dr. Kare had ever met Baba. Both were new to his ways, but they rendered great help in Baba's cause to Benares during this period of the new life. In fact, they were old souls, having past connections with him. Due to Dr. Nath's presence at the station, Baba and the group were delayed for half an hour. Therefore, Baba and the women were driven in the doctor's car to the bungalow in Niti Bagh near the Bharat Milap section, and the companions followed on foot with the luggage. Dr. Nath had rented a spacious, stately bungalow called Nati Imli, which had 2 separate structures for the women and men. It had a large flower and fruit tree garden and was enclosed on all sides by a stone wall. Goer was tired from the journey. No sooner had they entered the house than she sat down on a sofa. Baba did not like it and corrected her. In the new life, Using chairs, sofas, and beds is prohibited. Although every comfort is that here, do not use any of it. Oh my gosh. A tempting repast from Dr. Nath's home was received in such quantity that it was relished as their lunch for the day. Let's see. At first, both doctors had refused the 600 rupees for food for the first 25 days, but as it was Baba's specific wish, they finally accepted the money. Dr. Kare's father, Gaya Prasad, had also arrived from Rath and with his wife, but darshan was forbidden to anyone. Nevertheless, Baba would send personal messages through Adi Senior, Sadashi, Babadas, and Erich, which the families took as good fortune, as their good fortune. Although the Nati Imli property was extensive, no cleaning had been done for some time. Therefore, from the first day, Baba and the companions began this work. Their trunks had been forwarded from Belgaum by a freight train, but when they arrived in Benares, one trunk was missing. The authorities refused to release any of them to Vishnu until they had taken a complete inventory. The companions had no other clothes, so Baba advised them to put on the same clothes after taking a bath. The same day, 16 November, Baba again sent Erich, Adi, and Baba Das to the doctors with 700 rupees. I'm lost my screen here. Instructing. I'm reading from my phone, and it's
Oh, Betty,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Okay.
We can go to
Okay.
another reader, specifically Mikal Namo. Oh, Mikal, it just disappeared, just as I called for her.
Yeah.
Rosalie, you're already unmuted. Could you save the day, please?
Yeah, I am, huh? Okay. Here I come to save the day. Where are we?
The same day.
The same day, 16th November, Baba again sent Erich, Adi, and Baba Das to the doctors with 700 rupees, instructing them to use the amount for the purchase of 2 cows and 2 female donkeys to be given to Baba. Because both doctors were eager to offer their services, Baba allowed them this opportunity. Baba sent word to Dr. Nath through Adi and Erich that he was fortunate to be serving as a link between the old and new life. Gaya Prasad had begun to supervise the preparation of food at National, what is that?
I think it's Nati Imli.
Oh, okay, it isn't National, okay. Nati Imli. Baba sent Vishnu to him several times with instructions to upbraid him in this way. Are you cooking or spreading smoke here? Do you have any sense? Gaya Prasad humbly replied, pardon me, Master Ji, there will be no more smoke. Vishnu thought Gaya Prasad was a cook, but he was in fact the wealthy owner of a transport company and was supervising a hired cook in order to serve Baba. That evening, when Gaya returned to his son's house, his daughter-in-law remarked, how nice it would have been if Baba had permitted us to cook here. We too could have contributed in serving him. Dr. Nath's wife was of the same opinion, but on account of the restrictions, they could not mention their desire. The next day, when Gaia went to Nati Imli to cook, Vishnu, as instructed by Baba, criticized him. Hey, cook, yesterday's food was terrible. Do you or don't you know how to cook? Gaia humbly replied, Masterji, I will cook better today, I promise. Forgive me for yesterday's fault. It was the first day. In the evening, Baba sent word to Gaia Prasad through Vishnu that from the following day food should be cooked and sent with Dr. Nath's home. Sent from Dr. Nath's home. Gaia was quite pleased, as both the doctor's wives were hoping for this opportunity. Gaia Prasad's service was genuine. Despite rebukes and taunts, Gaia served Meher Baba with complete humility and love. Baba was not giving him darshan, not allowing him to sit with the companions. And in addition, Gaia was being castigated without reason or fault on his part. The doctors and their families could not even step near the bungalow's vicinity. But Baba's behavior was purely out of love for both families. He was showering his love on them by his strict attitude, and they were fortunate to have had such an experience. On the morning of Thursday, 17th November 1949, no sooner was Baba with the companions than he sent them to wash their feet. On their return, without explanation, he touched their feet with his hands. In the new life, mention of the word mandali was prohibited. The members, including Baba, were called companions. This meant that at that time, the level of Baba's work was of gross plane consciousness and being centered on the gross world for his work. Baba was playing the part of a devotee. While acting the role to the companions, he displayed all the weaknesses of a devotee. At the same time, by his own conduct, he was pointing out the path to be free of weaknesses. Embodied perfection is complete in every aspect of perfection. Age explains, when perfection compels a perfect man to do a sweeper's work, while doing it, he manifests perfection. Similarly, when acting as a king, the perfection is perfect. In this way, playing the role of a destitute, a faithful man, a scoundrel, and in other aspects, a perfect one manifests perfection. There is as much perfection in acting the part of a sinner as there is in playing a fakir. During this phase of the new life, Baba had completely turned from a master into a devotee, and his divine consciousness fully manifested that part, thwarting the imperfections of the companions at every step. Meher Baba was leading them toward perfection through the medium of imperfect perfection. After touching their feet, Baba stated, "It was the amount earmarked for the donkeys that has brought us this far. But the gesture on the part of Dr. Nath, who secured this bungalow free of cost, has enabled us to replenish the amount for the donkeys to some extent." This saving of 200 rupees plus the balance on hand of 500 rupees, 700 rupees in all, had already been given to Dr. Nath for purchasing 2 cows, if possible, and 2 she donkeys. the latter being imperatively necessary if any additional amount is needed. Dr. Nath should contribute it from his own pocket by way of bhiksha, alms. Lunch received from both doctors' families was delicious, and Baba remarked, "They are exceeding the limit in their love and devotion." In the afternoon, Baba gave each companion the money kept aside in Belgaum for the purchase of clothes, explaining, 14 rupees will be given to each of you for shoes and other knickknacks, and 5 rupees for gloves. Cotton jackets and scarves will be supplied from the amount from Kaka. The companions can touch money only for the purpose of spending this amount, from which nothing should be saved. If anything remains, it should be given away to beggars. From this amount, you are not to spend a pai on anything else, such as tea, pan, etc. The purchasing of gloves is compulsory. Any little amount saved from this item can be utilized to buy any other item. Baba concluded, from today onward, be overcautious. I will no longer correct and help. If you are not cautious and alert, then you are doomed. I am trying to keep my mood. If I fail, if I fail, I have a master remedy. Thus, arrangements for buying clothes for each was underway at last, and the companions had some hope of being protected from the cold. Erich and Vishnu brought all the luggage from the train station, including the missing trunk. The companions had been wearing the same clothes they had on when they left Belgaum 5 days before. When the baggage arrived, they changed clothes and arranged their personal things. In spite of the house being large, Baba had ordered the men to camp on the veranda, and they were thus living like beggars in a palace. Chalking out their schedule for the next 2 weeks in Benares, Baba stated, for personal bazaar purposes, you can start from the 21st of November to the 23rd, both days inclusive. The 18th, 19th, and 20th should be spent sightseeing in the Ghats and around the city. The companions should go in batches of 4, accompanied by Sadashiv as a guide on all 3 days. I and the ladies will go to see the Ghats on the 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th, accompanied by Baidul, Kaka, and Sadachiv. On the 20th, Don is to go to Sarnath to see the bungalow there and give his opinion as to the feasibility and possibility of a 10-day stay there for the Langoti life training. The begging training at Benares will be introduced by my going out with some companions to beg at Dr. Nath and Dr. Kare's residences on the 24th and 25th at 10 o'clock each morning. Kare's family should be ready at Nath's place on the 25th, as I cannot go as far as the university where the latter stays. The 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th of November are the dates on which the companions are to go out begging in pairs. How to beg and what to say will be explained on the 20th. For personal shopping in the bazaar, from tomorrow, the 18th, you can go out from noon to 5 p.m. Baba directed Ghani and Adi to prepare a list of activities from the 18th to the 30th of November with dates and exact timings. As permitted, the companions in groups of 4 went sightseeing to the Ghats along the Ganges River. Pendu and Mani had contracted flu, and they were attended to by the doctors. Every evening, Baba would go for a walk with Ghani. Humorously, Baba ordered Ghani to greet him each morning, Patan fashion, but with a slight change of the wording, which made it Sada Mimashe, Quadermashe, Jode, Tage, Kushale, Kalemashe, Salame. I miss the humor. Baba would also tease Nilu by calling him Negro or Black Devil because of his dark complexion. And if Nilu got upset, Baba would enjoy it more, calling him a pig, a black pig, I guess. At other times, Baba affectionately called him Kalo Deo, which means black angel. Before retiring every night, Baba ordered Ghani to sing these lines in Urdu. Old life has passed in different ways. Today has also passed somehow. Tomorrow be damned. Who cares? Footnote. Erich translated these lines in his personal prayer book as yesterday passed by somehow, today passes by thus, to hell with tomorrow, who cares? At one point, Baba dictated this prayer for the companions to recite. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not this, I am not that. I am nothing but a living lie of that truth that is me. And unless the lie is dead, the truth cannot be known. On Friday, 18th November 1949, the owner of the bungalow was noticed walking about in the garden with the gardener. Seeing this, Baba became displeased. It was his order that during the period of his stay, no one should step into the area.
Thank you, Rosalie. Rolf, could you unmute and read?
Through Adi and Erich, he sent word to the men to leave immediately. When the message was conveyed, the owner replied, it is my mistake, and I beg to be forgiven this error. I knew of the instruction, but thought that being in the garden would not be disobedience. Truly, I've come only to see to your comforts. When he was assured nothing was required, the man left quietly, promising not to enter again. Still, Baba informed Dr. Nath that his instructions had not been properly carried out, and he was ordered to confront the owner and receive his firm promise that he would never set foot in the garden of the bungalow again while Baba was staying there. The following day, a discussion ensued about the foot journey from Benares. Hindu and Erich noted, the caravan is to be used by the women and for keeping Baba's things. It will not be possible to pile all the companions' baggage into one bullock cart. It will require 4 carts. In reply, Baba explained, As we go onwards, by the end of December, nearly 50% of the luggage will have melted away. The stock of dry provisions is meant for the training period of begging, ending on the 31st. After January 1, we will live on what we get by begging. There will not be any money. As per the conditions of the new life, there will not even be anything to fall back on in case of an emergency. To cope with all their luggage, Audie suggested using a camel cart, to which Baba replied, I too had thought of employing camels, but not the cart. All supported Audie, and Baba complimented him on his timely suggestion. Baidul interposed. I had camels in Persia. I can drive a camel cart. Don added, and I've ridden camels in the Sahara Desert, so I have some experience with them. This discussion caused Baba to send this message to Dr. Nath through Audie and Erich. Dr. Nath will receive rupees 1,000 more. Out of the rupees 3,000 with Kaka for cattle feed, from which he should buy a good camel and camel cart. Who's to buy? Nath or Kaka? You get, well, Dr. Nath will receive 1,000 rupees more. In parentheses, out of the 3,000 with Kaka for cattle feed, close parentheses, from which I guess Dr. Nath should buy a good camel and camel cart. Including this sum, Dr. Nath now has rupees 1,700. With this, he should purchase a camel cart, 2 she-donkeys, and, if there's enough money, 2 cows. If more is needed, Dr. Nath should pay the balance from his pocket as alms. Dr. Nath promised to arrange everything, parentheses, and procured the camel and cart a week later, close parentheses, but said he did not understand why the purchase of cows should be dropped. If there were any deficit, he would pay the difference by way of bhiksha. That's it. Well, when Baba was instructing Baidul and Babadas to obtain information about musts and saints in Benares, Adi Sr. interjected. You had said it in Mehrabad that your must work was over. What is this new must phase? Baba declared, you people have short memories. You do not remember and have not grasped what I've already said in this respect at Belgaum. Dr. Ghani was asked to find the relevant notes in this respect from his diary and read them out to all. Quote, I might see mus and make you see mus, saints and sadhus, close quotation. Baba then stated, explaining, the must activity of the old life had importance for me exclusively, but hereafter this work will have importance for all of you. I may ask Ghani to massage the limbs of a must or Vishnu to feed him. Henceforth, the work excuse me, I'm sorry, but henceforth the work with musts, saints, and sadhus will be absolutely different from what it has been in the past. I may make you serve them, or I shall myself serve them in your presence, which was never the case before. I might even humiliate myself in your presence or in the presence of others in a manner that will be shocking to you all. So I need mas, sadhus, and saints for a different kind of work altogether. In this new life, I am on equal footing with you all. If you are ordinary, I am ordinary with you. If you are in any way great or extraordinary, I too am great and extraordinary. If you are something, I too am something. Therefore, now, in relation to mas, sadhus, yogis, and saints, I am on the same footing as you all. If Badul does not understand this, he will land me in a mess. For God's sake, do what you are told and give up your old habits. Parentheses, Baba Das had been instructed by Baba to collect information about mas, and Badul had begun correcting him about old and new mas. This was Badul's old habit, to which Baba was referring. Close parentheses. On Sunday, 20th November 1949, Baba was in a happy mood and dictated this couplet to Ghani in Urdu. Our helplessness has today bestowed on us the courage for which we have been thirsting for so many years. Quote, soon the day must come, Baba remarked, when we all can say this with pride and justification about ourselves. Baba then dictated the instructions in reference to their begging. Would we like a new reader? Anyone?
If you wish,
General?
Rolf, Marilyn,
Okay.
could you unmute and read, please? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Where am I?
From
soon the day-
Benares onwards.
Oh. Okay. Well, how about if I go to soon the day must come?
Okay.
We'll repeat that. Soon the
Yeah.
day must come, Baba remarked, when we all can say this with pride and justification about ourselves. Baba then dictated the instructions in reference to their begging. From Benares onward, the begging will be natural. For training purposes at Benares, we ought to have a method. This does not mean that such a method will be applicable out on the streets in all respects. So, for begging in Benares, the prerequisites are the following: 1, bare feet; 2, kafni, long robe reaching to the ankles; 3, brass bowl, the brass pot provided; 4, joli, cloth satchel with pockets to receive different kinds of breads, grains, or anything that is dry and uncooked. I have said before that for personal shopping in the bazaar, do not touch or talk to women. In begging, too, do not touch women, but you can ask and accept alms from them, as well as from men. While begging, you have to say to women, Ma premzi biksha dije, mother, give alms with love. And to men say, Baya or Bai biksha dije, brother, give alms. No sooner you get biksha, irrespective of quality and quantity, dry or cooked, walk away immediately and place the same before me. If you are refused biksha, At one particular door, go immediately to the next one, then again to the next one, and so on. Nilu, a Hindu, is to beg in Mohammedan localities, and Ghani, a Muslim, in Hindu localities. Accept whatever is given. Cooked food in the brass pot, and uncooked and raw food in the cloth bag. In Benares, do not accept anything besides solid food, raw food, and liquid food. Do not go intentionally to sweet meat shops. Do not beg at any shops or catering houses. Rather, go to private dwellings and houses. Also, do not go to places where regular bhiksha is given, such as charitable institutions. Only go to private homes. Do not go to the houses of acquaintances. Two in a pair should go together and return immediately when both have received bhiksha. Return compliments or obeisance, action for action. Do not provoke or allow yourselves to be provoked. If Nilu is insulted by a Muslim, he should not express anger, but go to another house. Do not express anger even under the worst provocation. If bhiksha is received by 7 o'clock that evening, then you can come back.
If no bhiksha is
No
received.
bhiksha. Yes, excuse me. If no bhiksha is received by 7 o'clock that evening, then you can come back. Can you make it a little bit bigger? The print? Oh. All right. Leave for begging at 10 o'clock daily on the dates given. If anyone puts a coin in your satchel along with grains or foodstuffs and you have seen it, then request to the giver to take the coin back. If the person refuses to take it back, then empty the bag then and there along with its contents. If you have no knowledge of the coin being there with or in the foodstuff, then it is not your fault. Do not smoke when you are out begging. Wear a chadi underwear under the kafni. Keep the brass vessel immaculately clean, as I too will eat the cooked food from it. Bhiksha is to be received at the door of a house or dwelling. After receiving bhiksha, salam with folded hands, depart. All this is chiefly for the training in begging at Benares. Also, do not make a beginning of the begging life by begging from a eunuch. It will not be auspicious. Later on, after January 1st, it won't matter a bit. In the afternoon, Baba asked Vishnu and Sadashiv to study the Hindu almanac and to let him know the important dates during the 1-month celebration of the Kumbh Mela to be held in Hardwar in 1950. The significant dates were 2, 13, and 17 April. Don was sent to Sarnath the same day to look for prospective bungalows, as Baba wished to stay there for several days. As decided and permitted during the next 3 days, the companions went to the market to buy their personal necessities, such as soap, toothpaste, razors, etc. Kaka, Kustaji, and Pendu remained with Baba, whose requirements were bought by Adi and Vishnu. Erich purchased the women's necessities. On the evening of Tuesday, 22 November 1949, Ghani joked to the companions in sarcastic fashion. In quotes, the meaning of the new life is only this: to do routine things at odd times, to create a difficulty where none exists, to pull up with a jerk an otherwise smooth going situation. All such things have gone to make what we have been calling the new life. Close of parentheses or quotes. Baba overheard this remark and asked Ghani to explain. Ghani amplified, "Look at the unearthly time for our morning tea." Excuse me, 5 a.m. We have no religious devotions to perform so early in the morning, such as Arti, Puja, Kusti Sadra, Namaz, and yet, in this god-awful biting cold weather, we are required to crawl out of bed, groaning, hissing, shivering, and coughing at 4:30 in the morning, just for the cold pleasure of a cup of tea and a chapati, if available, at 5 a.m. Really speaking, it should be called morning tea. Ghani's remarks evoked hearty laughter from the men, and Baba, too, seemed to enjoy the fun. But while bidding good night, he unexpectedly turned to Baidul and ordered, "Tomorrow morning, tea should be served at 4:45 a.m., 15 minutes earlier." The following morning, Baba again surprised everyone by referring to Ghani's remarks about the awkward time for morning tea. I did not sleep the whole night. The spontaneous laughter of all concerned over Ghani's remarks set me thinking. I wondered if the remarks of Ghani regarding morning tea and the support of it by your delightful laughter were all to be taken as a joke, or were you serious about it? If it was all a joke, then I was wrong in not appreciating the humor. If he was serious, and if you think the order for morning tea is unnecessary and meaningless, then it is not only criticism, but the most flagrant violation of the conditions of the new life. The companions were taken aback by this interpretation, which evidently had given Baba a sleepless night. They assured him that, although some of his orders were not always easily understandable, none of them considered them meaningless or unnecessary. Baba then dismissed the previous night's episode as a joke, and the tension relaxed immediately. But Baba had doubted the companion's intentions, and so, as an atonement, he ordered some of the companions to twist his ears, after which he remarked, "One sleepless night is worth the satisfaction that I now feel for the sake of the clarification of your mind and feelings." Ghani, who had instigated the entire episode, was ordered to kick Baba. At first, all the pent-up feelings of hardships and humiliations Ghani had endured welled up in him, and it looked as if he would give Baba a very hard kick. But when he came close to Baba, he barely tapped him. Baba asked the reason, saying, "This was a good chance for you to settle all the old scores. You could have brought out all the displeasure contained in your heart." Ghani replied, "I did intend to kick you very hard, but then I remembered that you are my childhood friend, and I forgave you." Baba was to go begging for the first time to Dr. Nath's house on Thursday, 24 November 1949. Footnote. The same day Baba began his begging was celebrated as Thanksgiving in America that year. As soon as he came to the companions that morning at 7 o'clock, he ordered them to go wash their feet. On their return, he touched their feet with his hands and then touched his forehead. He directed Tigani to read out this prayer, which he had dictated 2 days before. Today, the 24th of November, is a very significant day for me in the new life. I ask the most merciful God to forgive me and my companions for any shortcomings and any conscious and unconscious mistakes done singly or wholly or toward each other or personally or impersonally, relating to the conditions or otherwise, as also for any lusty, angry, greedy, or old life thought or desire. I ask God to give full strength to me and to my companions to stick to the oaths and conditions 100% because He, the all knowing, knows that from January 1st, 1950, there has to be no compromise whatsoever for me and my companions in relation to our oaths and conditions.
Thank you, Marilyn. Pia, could you unmute and read, please?
Sorry, I won't be able to read.
Oh,
Sorry about
okay,
that.
Pia. Thank you. Marcia, are you reading today? Unmute if you are. Okay, I'll take a turn then. I forgive you, my companions, and ask you all to forgive me. And I ask God to forgive us all, not merely by way of ceremony, but as a wholehearted pardon. While the prayer was being read, Baba became very serene and composed. His face was aglow with love, mercy, and forgiveness. He was at that moment like the judge on the judgment seat, age declared, enveloping the whole world in his embrace. In the eternal living present, being the judge, culprit, and crime, all in one, he was forgiving himself. After asking Ghani to translate the prayer into Hindi, for those who did not know English, Baba made Ghani read it over and over again, a number of times. All through, he listened to the prayer in rapt attention. Then, making a gesture of forgiveness, the ceremony came to an end, and Baba prepared to go begging. Meher Baba, in the guise of a beggar, walked half a mile to Dr. Nath's house at 9:45 a.m., accompanied by Don, Erich, and Babadas. He was attired in a white kafni. An ochre-colored satchel hung from his left shoulder. A brass pot was in his right hand. A green turban was on his head, and his feet were bare. The Lord of the universe had become a beggar, Age continued, going to the house of a family who had never seen him before, but who were grateful and happy in the blessedness of carrying out his wishes. When Baba reached the doorstep of Dr. Nath's home, the entire family was standing, waiting for him, all attention focused on his beauty. They had been cautioned beforehand not to salute him in any way. No homage, no garlanding or folding hands, and not to touch his feet, and not to ask any questions. It was a solemn moment. Baba stood outside the doorstep, and Erich repeated the line, Premse Bhiksha Dijiye. Silently, Dr. Nath gave him and the companions cooked and uncooked food as alms. Baba walked a few paces up and down the veranda and then left. The Nath family were absorbed in his love. Not a word had been spoken. Their lips were silent, but their hearts were in turmoil, and the voices of their hearts only Baba could hear. Baba walked back to Nichi Bagh bungalow with the alms, accompanied by Erich, Don, and Babadas, and he and the companions had a joyful meal. The next day, 25 November, because Dr. Kare's house was some 10 miles away, Baba set out for begging with Gustaji, Adi, and Babadas to Dr. Nath's residence again, this time to receive Bhiksha from the Kares. Again, in reverential silence, Baba received Bhiksha. With Baba's permission, Dr. Nath had arranged for a photograph to be taken of the occasion by a local photographer. Except for Gaya Prasad, neither his wife, Janaki, nor his son and his family had ever seen Baba before. How blessed both families were that Mayor Prabhu first entered his life of begging at their doorstep and received his first alms from their hands. For their love and devotion, the Lord bestowed a gift unto them, which will one day make them hear the eternal song. Here we have a colorized photograph titled Begging During the New Life with Adi Sr. and Baba Das, 25 November 1949. From the 26th, the companions began going out into the streets of the ancient city to beg. Their appearance was similar to Baba's, barefoot in white kafnis, carrying the brass begging bowl and orange cloth satchel, and wearing green turbans. They begged in groups of 2, walking from house to house until they had received Bhiksha. Although in Benares there was no lack of sadhus or ascetics or beggars, being the most famous Hindu place of pilgrimage in India, the companions' peculiar attire made people stop and inquire about their religion, sect, caste, or guru. Some people gave for the sake of love or in the name of their God. Some did not. In a Muslim locality, Kaka and Nilu were ridiculed. You 2 look like Punjabi wrestlers. Why are you begging? Why don't you get a job? But even though the companions had to undergo such humiliating experiences, the begging from door to door was successfully accomplished. Dr. Nath arranged living accommodations for Baba and the companions in Sarnath, and Don left to oversee the premises there. Adi had accompanied Dr. Nath to Sarnath to ensure proper arrangements for the men and women were made. While Baba and the companions were discussing the foot journey from Benares and Sarnath north to Hardwar and the provisions to be taken with them, it was noted that there was no money left for food. And we'll stop here at top of page 2839. Let me stop the recording.